Maverick News, the antivirus program for your mind. And now, the Freedom Reporters.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Maverick News Channel. We have a star-studded cast of characters lined up for you tonight. Big program. We're going to be reviewing, recapping, analyzing the debate disaster from last night, the presidential debate on two fronts, the Biden-Trump portion and the RFK Jr. portion. And first up will be Kevin Michelizzi. Also, after Kevin, we have Derek Smith joining us. We'll ask his opinion on this as well. And he's going to also be telling us about a new book that he has just released. Just Axe the Tax. It's another installment in the series of Dr. Seuss-style books aimed not just at children, but actually adults, sort of calling out Prime Minister Justin Trudeau again. So he'll share that with us. And we've got some more stuff to share with you too. Gail Robertson will be by to talk politics as well. So stay with me. We have a lot more coming up right after this. And first out of the gate will be Kevin, who will help us with this analysis of the debate disaster.
You know, someone very profoundly once said many years ago that if fascism ever comes to America, it'll come in the name of liberalism.
Well, I think it's time we ask ourselves if we still know the freedoms that were intended for us by the Founding Fathers. If we lose freedom here, there's no place to escape to. This is the last stand on earth.
The entire world is watching.
Every dictator, every crazy dictator in the world is watching.
The world is watching. On TV, the entire world is watching. On social media.
But the entire world is watching, and yes, they are seeing what we have apparently bravely been willing to say that others are thinking.
Stand for freedom. Literally stand for freedom. Let's get this done. The entire world is watching.
We're at war with the most dangerous enemy that has ever faced mankind in his long climb from the swamp to the stars.
Maverick News. Maverick News. Maverick News.
Let me have more control of my own destiny.
The world is watching. Greetings, brave Mavericks. Our quest for truth continues. We go beyond fake news. Together we expose propaganda. Together we pull others out of rabbit holes. We are maverick thinkers. We are all unique individuals. Defenders of individual rights and freedoms. Credible. Trusted. Grounded in reality. Maverick News. Maverick News. Defending free speech. Free speech. Donate at freedomreporters.com. Do it now. Tomorrow may be too late. Maverick News. The world is watching.
Okay, let's bring him in all the way from the other side of the world in Crimea. Hello, Kevin. Welcome back.
Yeah, thanks. I stayed up the last 24 hours just for you, Rick, and for our fans out there in Maverick world.
Well, I'm glad that you could join us, my American friend in Crimea, because we need your help analyzing this Oh my God, this disaster of a debate last night. What's your initial impression?
You just analyzed the whole thing. Oh my God. So,
Oh,
you know, I watched the version with all 3 geriatrics, and
okay.
yeah, it was really a pitiful debate. I don't know why the Democrats decided to let Biden go in with no notes. I'm sure that's something the Trump campaign insisted on, thinking that they could make a fool of him. But why they would agree to that, I don't know. I see a lot of commentary that, you know, the Democratic Party is trying to replace him. And, you know, I just don't see that, not 4 months before the election. I think that would be a death knell for the Democratic Party to have to say, gee, we've been trying to convince you he's healthy all along, and now we have to put somebody else in there. I don't know. You know, maybe they didn't drug him up enough for. I just don't know. I don't know what they were thinking on this one. I expected Trump would probably, you know, push on enough things to make Biden stumble like he did. Now, Trump also was full of crap as well. But, and JFK, he actually was a relatively reasonable guy who answered some questions with, you know, very specific answers, but you know, I don't think he'd be able to accomplish them even if he was elected, but I don't think he really has a chance.
Yeah.
So,
well, let me start before you. I know you have a bunch of clips lined up, but let me start with something fresh from today, because Biden did speak earlier today, and basically said, "Yeah, I'm kind of old and I don't debate as well as I used to, but you should still vote for me." And this is what it sounded
Let me
like.
close with this. I know I'm not a young man. State the obvious. Well, I know. Well, I don't. Folks, I don't walk as easy as I used to. I don't speak as smoothly as I used to. I don't debate as well as I used to. But I know what I do know. I know how to tell the truth. I know right from wrong. And I know how to do this job. I know how to get things done. And I know, like millions of Americans know, when you get knocked down, you get back up.
Well, you ought to know he keeps falling down.
I know what it took to take our economy from the depths of pandemic to where it is today, the strongest economy in the world. I know what it'll take to bring this economy to everybody. I know what it'll take to rally the world to stand up against Putin and defend freedom, not yield to him.
Okay, blah, blah, blah.
yeah, you know, he got put to bed last night, got a good night's sleep. They jacked him up on whatever they jack him up on, and he's got those 2 teleprompters out there that he can read off of.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, in the debate, he almost looked like he was looking for notes all the time, like this all the time. And, you know, they say they didn't let them have notes. They gave them a pad of paper and a pencil, but, you know, he just can't be out there without the teleprompters.
Well, so where are we going to begin with our review and analysis from last night? We have some stuff lined up to share.
How about if we start with the big one that they started with, which is the economy. And
The national
yeah,
debt right here.
Oh no, I got economy over there. That was the first one.
Oh, I see.
This is the thing is, they would start talking about one thing, they would accuse each other of another thing, and then they'd come back to the same thing. So they went back and forth a lot. So here's a couple of minute clip on the economy.
For any drug, all the drugs they conclude beginning next year. And the situation is we're going to make that available to everybody, to all Americans. So we're working to bring down the price around the kitchen table, and that's what we're going to get done.
Thank you. President Trump?
We have the greatest economy in the history of our country. We have never done so well. Everybody was amazed by it. Other countries were copying us. We got hit with COVID. And when we did, we spent the money necessary so we wouldn't end up in a Great Depression, the likes of which we had in 1929. By the time we finished, so we did a great job. We got a lot of credit for the economy, a lot of credit for the military, and no wars, and so many other things. Everything was rocking good. But the thing we never got the credit for, and we should have, is getting us out of that COVID mess. He created mandates that was a disaster for our country. But other than that, we had given them back a country where the stock market actually was higher than pre-COVID, and nobody thought that was even possible. The only jobs he created are for illegal immigrants and bounce-back jobs, a bounce back from the COVID. He has not done a good job. He's done a poor job, and inflation's killing our country. It is absolutely killing us.
Thank you. President Biden?
Well, look, the greatest economy in the world. He's the only one who thinks that, I think. I don't know anybody else who thinks he had the greatest economy in the world. And, the fact of the matter is that we found ourselves in a situation where his economy, he rewarded the wealthy. He had the largest tax cut in American history, $2 trillion. He raised a deficit larger than any president has in any one term. He's the only president other than Herbert Hoover who's lost more jobs than he had when he began, since Herbert Hoover. The idea that he did something that was significant. And the military, when he was president, they were still killing people in Afghanistan. He didn't do anything about that. When he was president, we were still finding ourselves in a position where you had a notion that we were this safe country. The truth is, I'm the only president this century that doesn't have this decade, that doesn't have any troops dying anywhere in the world like he did.
President Trump, I want to follow up if I can.
Mr. Kennedy, the question was, people feel worse off because of inflation.
Yeah, and I want to thank everybody for being here and for this opportunity, and thank you, John. I also want to thank Elon Musk for live streaming this on X. CNN made some statements suggesting that might be, that he may get sued for that, and I'm very, very grateful for the courage that he's shown to protect freedom of speech in this country. I want to just orient us a little bit about why we're here tonight, and I don't want it to make it sound like I'm complaining.
So I wanted to play this for a couple of reasons. Number one, it starts out with the typical politician BSing between Biden and Trump. I had to look these numbers up earlier today. Now, Biden talks about Trump having the worst, job losses since Hoover, and yeah, if you go out there and you look into this, Hoover was the worst in 29 at 24.9% job losses. Trump had an unemployment rate, the highest was 14.8%, but by the time he left office, he had recovered 58% of those job losses. So his unemployment rate went down to 6%. Now, Biden's unemployment rate went down to 4%. Well, 3.9, now it's back up at 4. The interesting thing about this is RFK went into this with the exact same rules. 2 minutes to talk. He got asked the same question, but he spent more time complaining about how CNN excluded him from the debates. And He spent his whole 2 minutes doing that. And when he got cut off at the end of the 2 minutes, he says, well, wait, but I didn't answer the question. They said, nope, same rules, 2 minutes, that's it. So I give a lot of credit to their moderator. He did a great job. He did the best job of all three of them.
That, and is that John Stossel? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So.
Well, what a whiner Kennedy is, eh?
Yeah.
He had to complain.
Eh, hoser?
That's right. Oh, man.
So, yeah.
So that's what we started off with.
Yeah. Inflation. Did you see inflation up there somewhere? I probably didn't upload that one.
No inflation.
Let me grab inflation. I've got inflation because that was a pretty big one. Just so you guys know, I could only upload so many videos. I guess I didn't put inflation into it. So I don't have a clip of that. But as what I can tell you is they went on and they went back and forth about inflation, what was wrong with the country. They were asked how they would make it better for Americans who were suffering from inflation. And, Biden pushed that Trump had worse inflation. Trump pushed that Biden had worse inflation. Biden blamed Trump for his inflation, but Biden insisted that the economy was great. Reality is the average inflation under Trump was 1.9%, and under Biden, it's at 5.7%. Now, RFK actually answered the question about what they would do for families. So he talked about how, the economy and inflation is what's caused high prices on gas, high home insurance, and it's being caused by out of control spending by both presidents, that they keep printing more and more money. And the more money you print to reduce inflation, the more the grandchildren are going to have to pay back. So, and they had some arguments about the national debt as well. And Biden actually got some help out of CNN on this one. So I'll throw this one up there too.
Under both of your administrations, the national debt soared to record highs. And according to a new nonpartisan analysis, President Trump, your administration approved $8.4 trillion in new debt, while so far, President Biden, you've approved $4.3 trillion in new debt.
So I'm going to stop that right there because that's a misstatement of fact by CNN. I actually looked up the most recent data. They're saying 4.3 trillion. He's actually at 6.17, so almost 6.2 trillion. And the data says that he will go over the 8.5 trillion that Trump increased it. So CNN stretching the truth a little bit there.
So, former President Trump, many of the tax cuts that you signed into law are set to expire next year. You want to extend them and go even further, you say. With the U.S. facing trillion-dollar deficits and record debt, why should top earners and corporations pay even less in taxes than they do now?
Because the tax cuts spurred the greatest economy that we've ever seen just prior to COVID. And even after COVID, it was so strong that we were able to get through COVID much better than just about any other country. But we spurred, that tax spurred. Now, when we cut the taxes, as an example, the corporate tax was cut down to 21% from 39%, plus beyond that. We took in more revenue with much less tax, and companies were bringing back trillions of dollars back into our country. The country was going like never before, and we were ready to start paying down debt. We were ready to start using the liquid gold right under our feet, the oil and gas right under our feet. We were going to have something that nobody else has had. We got hit with COVID. We did a lot to fix it. I gave him an unbelievable situation with all of the therapeutics and all of the things that we came up with. We gave him something great. Remember, more people died under his administration even though we had largely fixed it. More people died under his administration than our administration, and we were right in the middle of it, something which a lot of people don't like to talk about. But he had far more people dying in his administration. He did the mandate, which is a disaster, mandating it. The vaccine went out. He did a mandate on the vaccine, which is the thing that people most objected to about the vaccine. And he did a very poor job, just a very poor job. All of the things he's done, we've become like a third world nation, and it's a shame. The damage he's done to our country, and I'd love to ask him, and will, why he allowed millions of people to come in here from prisons, jails, and mental institutions to come into our country and destroy our country.
President Trump, we will get to immigration later in this block. President Biden, I want to give you an opportunity to respond to this question about the national debt.
He had the largest national debt of any president in a 4-year period, number one. Number two, that $2 trillion tax cut benefited the very wealthy. What I'm going to do is fix the tax system. For example, we have 1,000 trillionaires in America. Billionaires in America. And what's happening? They're in a situation where they, in fact, pay 8.2% in taxes. If they just paid 24%, 25%, either one of those numbers, they'd raise $500 billion, I should say, in a 10-year period. We'd be able to wipe out his debt. We'd be able to help make sure that all those things we need to do, child care, elder care, making sure that we continue to strengthen our healthcare system, making sure that we're able to make every single solitary person eligible for what I've been able to do with the with the COVID, with dealing with everything we have to do with, look, if we finally beat Medicare.
Thank you, President Biden. President.
So that was the first stumble. You know, what can I say about it?
I feel you have to feel sorry for him.
Yeah. Hey, the guy is in his 80s, and you know, this is what happens when you get older. My mind is not as sharp as it used to be either. I used to have like a photographic memory with things. I remember a lot of details, but this is why I do research on everything before I speak about it. So.
Yeah, I'm not as sharp as I used to be either. I had to have a nappy this afternoon.
I needed a nappy this afternoon. I don't want to hear it. I've been up for
that's true.
23 hours already.
Oh my God. So what are we moving on to next here? I can't wait to get to the golf handicap thing and acting like children. But anyway, I'll let you take the lead on this. Where are we going next with this stuff?
So let's go to Medicare, because Biden is real big on talking about how he's lowered the cost of insulin, and I have some real things to say about that.
Beat Medicare.
Thank you, President Biden. President Trump.
Well, he's right. He did beat Medicare. He beat it to death.
That's yes, that was great. That was good.
Good old Trump. Yep. Yeah. So, you know, they talked a lot about Medicaid, Medicare. Biden repeated several times that he lowered the copay for insulin to $35. Reality is he lowered it for Medicare patients who previously paid $38. So they're saving $3 a month on insulin. So this is the big thing that he's making, you know, as what he has done. And reality is privately insured people for years have been paying $25 to $50 a month copays for their insulin. I'm a diabetic. I've been buying it that way for ages. You know, they need to talk to insurance companies more than they are, both of them, because you know, I looked at the price of one of my insulins right now in the United States with a coupon, $238 for a box of 5 insulin pens. With the coupon, $85. In Russia, I pay $22 for the exact same insulin. So somebody's making a ton of money on that stuff.
Our other guest has arrived. Let's bring Derek in. Derek Smith.
How are you?
Great. How are you?
Derek, nice to meet you.
Same here. It's nice to be on again. Thanks, Rick. It's almost like a second home to me at this point, but it's great.
Yeah, well, this is fantastic to have you here. I thought we'd bring you in. You can join this conversation, talking about the debate disaster, and then we'll get into your new book release in a moment. It's going to tie right in because the winds of change seem to be blowing when it comes to these leaders like Biden and Trudeau. But Kevin, back to you, sir. Where are we going next?
Yeah. Well, if you guys have something to say, I was actually looking to see if I even had the golf thing up here.
That's the clip about the children, I think, isn't it? Stop acting like children. Carrying the golf bags.
Actually, no.
No? Oh.
The children is about border security, actually.
Oh, okay. All right. I have his clip, I believe. Maybe I don't have it. I didn't download it. I cut it out, but I didn't download it. Sorry.
Yeah, I thought I had that clip too, and I don't.
Oh, I'll get it while we move on to something else.
Yeah, okay. So, speaking of, abortion, do I have a clip on abortion? Yeah, I do. Let's listen to an abortion clip. Let's hear this argument before I give you.
That'll cheer us up.
That.
Nothing.
Always something fun to chat about, isn't it?
Oh my God.
By an immigrant coming in, they talk about that. But here's the deal: there's a lot of young women are being raped by their in-laws, by their spouses, brothers and sisters, it's just ridiculous, and they can do nothing about it. And they try to arrest them when they cross state lines.
Thank you.
There have been many young women murdered by the same people he allows to come across our border. We have a border that's the most dangerous place anywhere in the world, considered the most dangerous place anywhere in the world. And he opened it up, and these killers are coming into our country, and they are raping and killing women. And it's a terrible thing. As far as the abortion is concerned, it is now back with the states. The states are voting. In many cases, it's frankly a very liberal decision. In many cases, it's the opposite. But they're voting, and it's bringing it back to the vote of the people, which is what everybody wanted, including the founders, if they knew about this issue, which frankly they didn't. But they would have, everybody wanted brought back. Ronald Reagan wanted it brought back. He wasn't able to get it. Everybody wanted it brought back, and many presidents had tried to get it back. I was the one to do it. And again, this gives it the vote of the people, and that's where they wanted it. Every legal scholar wanted it that way.
Your position on Roe v. Wade?
I've spent probably more energy protecting medical freedom than any other leader in this country. And bodily autonomy. So I think that abortion should be the choice of a woman, and that I worry about state involvement until the baby reaches viability. And I think the states have an increasing viability outside the womb. And I think the states have an increasing interest in protecting that child.
So, just goes to show you again that RFK slips up at times too. I don't know what that has to do with energy, but you guys have any comment before I get into what I actually see in that?
I don't know.
It's such a hot button issue, and I try to stay out of that as much as possible because I'm not a woman, so I don't understand the complexities or the extraordinary pressure any woman would be under to have to make the decisions that they make. And that being said, I traditionally don't weigh in on a woman's choice because you have to understand that each individual woman has a different set of circumstances that is causing them to decide what to do with their bodies. Now, for those who carelessly go out and procreate without using protection or without using any form of, I guess you could say, care in what they're doing, then of course I don't agree with just using it as a form of laziness to say I didn't want to take the necessary precautions. But when it comes to what these gentlemen were talking about on stage in terms of people being assaulted and whatnot, that's where I say we don't really have the tools to justify every single situation. So as a man, I typically stay out of it and say, you know what, whatever whatever women want to do, I'd rather hear what a woman has to say rather than a bunch of men standing on stage saying what women should and should not be allowed to do with their bodies.
Yeah. Cable Girl has a question for you, Derek. She wants to know, but what is a woman?
What is a woman indeed? I mean, that's what we have to get to the bottom of before we really start the real debate. I mean, they claim that men can get pregnant these days. So as soon as we can get the clown world under control, maybe then we can answer that question and move on.
Yeah. So the whole debate here about, is Roe versus Wade better than the states having control? Is Trump wrong? Is Biden wrong? Is JFK Jr. wrong or right? Or RFK Jr. Reality is they all agree with each other, even though they claim they don't. So Roe versus Wade, the only difference between that and what Trump has put in place is Trump goes on and on in this subject about how Biden's administration wants to allow doctors and how Roe versus Wade allowed them to take a baby right after birth and kill them. And that isn't true at all. Roe versus Wade said during the third trimester, the last 3 months, a woman could only have an abortion in the case of rape, incest, or danger to the woman's life. So the only difference between their two positions right now is that Trump gave the control to the states to determine during that last 3 months, is it because of rape, incest, or danger to the woman's life? Now, some states have gone and said, nope, we won't allow it at all. The Supreme Court's come back and said, we don't care what you guys say. They overturned that just, I don't know, whatever day it was, yesterday, Thursday. So they actually agree on this subject, even though they argued about it. And this is what people have to think about when they look at issues is, do a little research. Don't believe what they're telling you.
Well, I think the larger issue here is Biden lucid? What are these two guys like in their old age? And what did we see? We saw a couple of geriatrics last night acting like a couple of children. And here's that clip where they're talking about golf. Who's a better golfer? Like that's going to determine who the better president is, right? I can drive a ball further than you. No, you can't. Yes, I can. No, you can't. Here it is. Here's the clip.
You can't carry your own bags.
At the end of your second term. What do you say to voters who have concerns about your capabilities to serve?
Well, I took 2 tests, cognitive tests. I aced them, both of them, as you know. We made it public. He took none. I'd like to see him take one, just one, a real easy one. Like go through the first 5 questions. He couldn't do it. But I took 2 cognitive tests. I took physical exams every year. And, we knock on wood wherever we may have wood, that I'm in very good health. I just won 2 club championships, not even senior. 2 regular club championships. To do that, you have to be quite smart, and you have to be able to hit the ball a long way, and I do it. He doesn't do it. He can't hit a ball 50 yards. He challenged me to a golf match. He can't hit a ball 50 yards. I think I'm in very good shape. I feel that I'm as in good a shape as I was 25, 30 years ago. Actually, I'm probably a little bit lighter, but I'm in as good a shape as I was years ago. I feel very good. I feel the same. But I was willing to take a cognitive test. And you know what? If I didn't do well, I aced them. Dr. Ronnie Jackson, who's a great guy when he was White House doctor. And then I took another one, a similar one. And one of them said they'd never seen anybody ace them.
Thank you. President Biden?
You can see he is 6'5" and only 223 pounds, or 235 pounds. Well, you said 6'4", 200. Well, anyway, that's what you're. Anyway, just take a look at what he says he is, and take a look at what he is. Look, I'd be happy to have a driving.
Whoa, what happened?
Yeah, ran out.
Trump, to follow up, you would be 82 at the.
Just take a look at what he says he is, and take a look at what he is. Look, I'd be happy to have a driving.
I do have this, Rick.
Do you? I guess it didn't render out for the full length of the clip, but anyway.
Yeah. Now that I'm listening to him again, I had this under age.
Yeah.
So I have the rest of it here. It'll upload in a minute. Oh, here it is.
Each of you. President Biden, you would be 86.
From all over the world. Country in the world and getting things done. We're the strongest country in the world.
He took none. I'd like to see him take one, just one, a real easy one. Like go through the first 5 questions. He couldn't do it. But I took 2 cognitive tests. I took physical exams every year. And, you know, we knock on wood wherever we may have wood, that I'm in very good health. I just won 2 club championships, not even senior, 2 regular club championships.
They let him win.
You have to be quite smart, and you have to be able to hit the ball a long way.
Because he was the president.
And I do it. He doesn't do it. He can't hit a ball 50 yards. He challenged me to a golf match. He can't hit a ball 50 yards. I think I'm in very good shape. I feel that I'm as in good a shape as I was 25, 30 years ago. Actually, I'm probably a little bit lighter.
You can see he is 6'5" and only 223 pounds, or 235 pounds. Well, you said 6'4", 200. Well, anyway, that's what you're. Anyway, just take a look at what he says he is, and take a look at what he is. Look, I'd be happy to have a drive app, which when I was vice president, down to a 6. But by the way, I told you before, I'm happy to play golf if you carry your own bag.
Full when they cut them off now.
All I'm going to say is I hope they let me on the stage for that contest.
I'm a better golfer than you are. I'll golf, but only if you carry your own bag. I want to see them both try to carry their bags for 18 holes. And we'll get it all on live television and online, and we'll see how far they get before they both keel over and die of a cardiac arrest.
Yeah. Trigger warning called this a handicap debate. I would say it was a handicap debate between a couple of handicapped guys debating on a handicapped debate.
What do you think, Derek?
Well, I mean, look, the whole debate itself was just a clown show. It was I guess for me, what I watched out of the debate was a turning of the tides. If you look at CNN's poll after the debate, I mean, they flipped CNN viewers in favor of Donald Trump. So I think that what I'm looking at more is where do the US politics affect Canada? And where does this writing on the wall look in terms of our election coming up in 2025 or before? Because I mean, we've heard rumors that Justin Trudeau is going to be kicked out of office before then if he survives. But at the same time, whatever happens in the US typically affects what's going on in Canada. So we are seeing a shift, and we're seeing that shift go back more towards, I guess you could call it right-leaning politics, or, you know, the non-woke show, as I call it. But either way, look, I like Donald Trump from a business perspective. I'm not so sold on his tweets, on his tenure as president, simply because I don't know enough about U.S. politics to really weigh in on that. I'm not an American. When we were talking about the Roe v. Wade stuff earlier, I think that they should leave it up to the states, much like when you look at what happens in Canada when they were talking about gender drugs for children, and they've left that up to the provinces to decide. Of course, Danielle Smith in Alberta said no to that, and you saw it become a partisan issue in the House of Commons. Justin Trudeau weighed in on it. Pierre Poilievre shut it down and said, you know, his 2 cents on it. So again, I think leaving it up to the states is the best choice, and the president really should be more worried about policy that affects the country rather than individual states. All in all, I think that if you're trying to look at prosperity for a country, if you're trying to look at what's going to benefit the country, statistically, Joe Biden's done a terrible job. He's done a horrible, horrible job in office. Essentially, it's Canada 2.0. When you look at the inflation, when you look at the jobs that have been lost, when you look at the borders not being secured, almost as bad as Canada's, um, you need somebody else running the show. And if not Donald Trump, then who?
Yeah. And I know that you have another engagement lined up tonight. So we're going to transition over to talking now about your book, which is related to this because it is about the winds of change.
Absolutely.
And you, of course, wrote How the Prime Minister Stole Freedom and helped produce that book. Tell us the other books that you produced and then tell us what this new book is.
Well, we followed up How the Prime Minister Stole Freedom with our lovely book, kind of knocking everybody in Parliament, called Black or One Face, Two Face, Black Face, Blue Face. Then we followed that up with a tribute to the Freedom Convoy with Hold the Line, The Ballad of Tamara Leach, as well as How the Prime Minister Broke Canada. Now we're moving into our newest political satire book, which I was so happy to receive last night, The Just Axe the Tax. It's a Dr. Seuss parody on Green Eggs and Ham, and I can't wait for people to get their hands on it. I think people are really going to enjoy this one.
So this ties right into this whole tax protest thing that we've been seeing going on across the country. Pierre Poilievre, leader of the Conservative Party, I think coined that phrase. This seems to be one of, the taxation. The carbon tax in particular is a main plank in the platform of the Conservative Party to challenge the Trudeau Liberals going into the next election. Is that why you picked this subject matter?
I think that going into an election, I wanted to do whatever I could to keep people's, so much like How the Prime Minister Stole Freedom, it was to shed a little bit of a fun vibe on a rather dark situation that happened in our country. When you look at the Freedom Convoy, when you look at the Emergency Act invocation, it was more, hey, we're not really doing so well as a country. Let's have a couple of laughs. As we're headed into an election, when we hear about Chinese interference, we hear about scandals, compromised MPs, I said, hey, let's put out a book that kind of pokes fun at what the issues are going into that election. The fact that, hey, people can't afford to eat right now. This is a job killing and life killing tax where people can't even fill their tanks to get to work. They can't travel the world. But the government, much like during mandates and lockdowns, were saying, well, we're still going to travel, but the rest of you should stay home. The rest of you should be 6 feet apart and not, go anywhere and stay in your basements while we have all the fun. So this was more a book to raise the issues in that election. I find that as we get close to elections, people tend to forget all the wacky and crazy things that our government have done, and they're more focused on what's happening right now rather than the last 8 or 9 years. So again, this was just a pushback at the policies that at least I believe in and that I think are most important heading into our next election. When it comes to crime, when it comes to the unavailability of homes, um, affordability of food, people being able to, again, go out and live their lives. Justin Trudeau has completely dismantled and broke this country. And I think that, again, if we can find some humor in what could be next for us as a country, I think that's always beneficial.
Talking about what's going on right now, this was Trudeau leaving a fundraiser in Brampton, Ontario last night. Heckled. People not happy with him at all. Everywhere he goes. And so I think your book is timely.
Well, I mean, the guy can't go anywhere without getting heckled these days. Neither can people like Jagmeet Singh. I mean, let's be honest. We seen video of him biking around with his own child on the front of a weird kind of rickshaw style bike that he had his daughter in. Now, I don't agree with him being heckled with his child present, and really people should be a little more reserved. But Canadians are angry, and they have every reason to be angry today. Especially with, again, what you look back to Trudeau Senior, the devastation that he caused, and Justin Trudeau said, hold my beer, and essentially dismantled this country. When you look at our borders, when you look at the immigration pouring in, when you look at the crime, the car thefts, the again, Chinese interference is a major issue. Now, there's certain things we can't tackle in these books, and again, I try to keep them lighthearted. But again, I've said multiple times before that I feel if we're going to have somebody in the office that can clean up or at least attempt to clean up the mess that Justin Trudeau's created, I think Pierre Poilievre's our best shot.
Yeah, and tell us a little more about this book. This isn't, it's sort of a Dr. Seuss style book again, in that sort of theme, but this isn't just aimed at kids.
Oh, it's never aimed at kids. Our books are, so I always try to create our books on a very simplistic level to be non-offensive. Again, I've heard with how the Prime Minister stole freedom, many people have emailed me, jumped onto my YouTube channel and said, hey, I read it to my kids all the time. It's a staple in our home. So I've always tried to keep any of our books, aside from one, which has to be removed as of Monday from Amazon due to reasons I can't discuss. We've tried to stay on a level where it's entertaining, where families can enjoy it, but it simply is not indoctrination. It's more geared towards adults, and adults have always been the threshold at mind when we're creating these books. Just again, to give a lighthearted laugh in a childlike nature, to how the Prime Minister is ruining the country. I mean, you look at political cartoons and newspapers, and with print essentially being dead in that end of the world, this was the next best way, I thought, to have a series of those, kind of poking fun in the old satirical landscape, I guess you could say, of those cartoons by I guess having a laugh at the Prime Minister's expense.
Well, I'm glad you're releasing it now, because I don't know how much shelf life these books are going to have if Justin Trudeau is going to be gone, and it looks like his days may be numbered. I see that even Catherine McKenna, a former high-ranking Liberal, is saying today that he should step down. I think an actual sitting member of Parliament on the Liberal side today also came out and said publicly that Trudeau has to go. So what do you think is happening on that front?
Well, I've been saying it for months that as soon as they had that non-confidence vote in the House of Commons, I remember live streaming that event and saying, you're witnessing the death of the Liberals and the NDPs. This is a funeral for their party. Anybody who supports backing the Prime Minister in this motion, I said, it's going to be similar to a Hydra. You're going to see them biting off the heads of each other at a point when the ship is going to sink so much that they don't have a choice. Now, Justin Trudeau has tried to expand the election dates in order for certain MPs to regain their pensions, but when you look at it, those MPs want to be there longer than the end of this term. Some of them are career politicians. They don't want to leave because of Justin Trudeau. So the more that this ship continues to sink, the more we're going to see pushback. Summer is typically a slow season for politics because politicians, again, take their leave, they go on vacation, they spend 10 hours in the car with no bathroom breaks while the world is burning or whatever they want to scream about. But Justin Trudeau, Jagmeet Singh, Pierre Poilievre essentially tour the country to promote themselves. But now you're seeing more MPs coming out to talk about Justin Trudeau, and I think the pressure is going to mount as the summer goes for him to step down, or to, at the very minimal, call an election, which I've also said, wouldn't that be the funniest justice to Jagmeet Singh for propping up the Liberals? I mean, everybody says that he's holding out for his pension, but if Justin were to all of a sudden call an election and kind of just, kick sand at the guy who's been propping him up this whole time and denying him of that pension, I mean, wouldn't that just be the perfect end to a tragic story? I think I think it would be hilarious, but tragic at the same time. But again, Canadians could start getting their lives back on track. I think that we could start seeing some positivity. As for the life of these books, I have stated this is probably going to be our final book in our series, unless for some reason I find a need to come back. I think this will be the last one, which again, I will let everybody know who's watching. As we always launch these books, I try to do something to give back. So in conjunction with Pierre's message of making things affordable for people, we're taking a portion of proceeds for the first 60 days of sales from this book and donating it to local food banks to help people at a time when they can't afford food, they can't afford rent, they can't afford fuel. It felt like the best way to put money towards a charitable cause that actually benefits Canadians from the context of this book. So anybody who wants to buy copies, you're supporting a good cause at the same time.
And how can people buy the book?
So they can currently get it on Amazon. It is available both digitally and physically on Amazon. I will be ordering Unacceptable Fringes copies, which I will be signing and shipping out on my Shopify account. Again, people want to follow my YouTube channel, I'll link the Shopify account as soon as that's open. If people want signed copies of the books, again, that gives me a bigger profit margin, larger donations to charity. So if people want signed copies, that's the best place to get them. Other than that, it's strictly Amazon.
Okay, and again, the artwork is exceptional. Tell us about the artist.
Well, Kaide Knipe has been my artist throughout all of our books. I've always used the same illustrator. She's the daughter of a friend of mine that I grew up with, and I'll tell you, she does a phenomenal job with these books. She's always asked to stay a little bit in the shadows because she's younger. She's just entered university this year, so she's she's very talented, but she doesn't like getting involved in the politics. She enjoys drawing the books. She likes getting in on the jokes. Again, does a very good job visually with these books, but I've respected her request for anonymity to a sense. So I mean, I'm happy to work with her for as long as she wants to do these things. But I feel like, again, maybe there's more books on the horizon if we get the bug bite. But for now, it's just I feel that we've told the message that needs to be told with these books, and I feel like people have enjoyed what we've brought to the table.
Well, the other books were great successes, best sellers, and this one I'm sure is going to do very well too. But you're doing something else. You're running for mayor in Calgary, and you had that big water main break that you were on talking about the last time. Bring us up to date on that. What's happening with the water main issue?
Well, what's really funny when you talk about the water mains is I've put out multiple videos saying that we've heard for months, and I talked about this when we sat down that back in February we heard that Jody Gondek was going to find a way to restrict
That's
water
the current
access.
mayor of Calgary, by the way.
Yes, yeah. So she was going to find a way to try to, I guess, control water usage or restrict. I always said that, I've never said that the water main break was intentional, but I believe that this main break was used as a catalyst to move those kind of plans forward. Otherwise, why would people be talking in the middle of winter about restrictions coming forward for Calgarians? Now, I've asked people, is this a blueprint for other cities to do this? And inadvertently, you can see now in Quebec City, they've had a water main break that surprisingly is about the same capacity of what Calgary's pipe is. And they're now telling people, if we catch you watering your lawns or washing your cars, $1,000 to $2,000 fines. So it just feels like the same rollout all over again. So it really makes me question, is it coincidence? Is it this black swan event we've been hearing about all year? Like last year it was all the forest fires. This year it's all the water mains it seems breaking, but both Quebec City's and Calgary's pipe are set to be repaired by July 5th. So I guess time will tell if that's the case. I know Calgary's considering permanent water restrictions after the pipe is fixed, which again makes me question what's the real optics behind this, but I guess time will tell.
My goodness. How can people reach you or contact you if they want to support your campaign, or if they want to ask about your book, or just chat?
Well, if they want to just chat or talk to me about my book, they can always come out to my YouTube channel, Unacceptable Fringe. They can find me on Twitter at Unaccept Fringe. Or if they want to volunteer for the mayor campaign, if you're in Calgary, they can send an email to unacceptablemayor@gmail.com. It was just leaving their email address and that they want to volunteer. Again, I don't answer those emails. It's merely just adding them to a list. And then when it comes time to organize the campaign, we'll be emailing everybody saying it's time to go. And we'll go from there and start vetting our volunteers. But we are in search of volunteers. So if you're in the Calgary area and you want to help out, that's the best way to do so. Again, I don't answer those emails. So anybody wanting to contact me, again, come out to my live streams. I live stream every Friday night at 6 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Central on Friday Night Fringe. And I'm usually pretty engaged with the chat. So always happy to talk to people there.
Fantastic. Two quick things before we wrap up and pivot back to our debate disaster conversation with Kevin. First, prediction. Will Trudeau go? And if so, when?
Okay. I think so. I personally, nothing would give me more joy than to see him ride this out. And honestly, the damage he could do potentially between now and 2025 is astronomical. But I'd like to, I think realistically, he'll step down. My guess is somewhere in the fall, if he's going to do anything. Now, whether that's him stepping down and then bringing in somebody like Mark Carney, I have no idea. Whether he calls an election again and stabs Jugmeat in the back, I don't know if he's going to do that either. It really is an open question because Justin Trudeau has that hubris that he doesn't want to acknowledge. He doesn't want to. He's fallen victim to it, and he has that narcissistic attitude that says, "Nah, everything's fine. I'm going to keep going." But again, when the pressure mounts, your guess is as good as mine. If he's going to do it, my guess is fall.
And what about Biden? Will the Democrats replace him? And if so, who would you think they would bring in?
Well, there's rumors he's definitely going to get replaced. I mean, I'd be very shocked if they move forward with him. Again, if you look at Alex Jones posted out a tweet today showing footage after the debate wrapped up, and Biden's wife had to help him down 2 little steps just to acknowledge the moderators from the debate. So this guy's not cognitive. He can barely move. He's senile. Get him out of there. I'm surprised he wasn't wearing the brown pants when he came out last night, just as a security precaution. But when it comes to Biden, there's rumors speculating that Hillary Clinton might go up against Trump again, that Gavin Newsom would join in. I think, if anything, we're going to see, I think, Newsom or Clinton. But I definitely think one way or another they're going to replace Biden.
All right. Derek Smith, running for mayor of Calgary, author of the new book, Just Axe the Tax, available on Amazon, and check out his YouTube channel at Unacceptable Fringe. Thank you, sir. We're going to let you go because I know you have another engagement this evening.
No
go ahead,
problem.
Kevin.
Thank you again.
I have a comment before Derek goes, though. Yeah,
sure.
If you're going into politics, you got to get it straight. The Chinese are not interfering with the elections. That's our job over here in Russia. You give the Chinese their own problem, okay?
There you go. Thanks so much, guys. Enjoy the rest of your show. Have a great night, and thanks for having me on.
Thank you very much, Derek. A privilege.
Take care.
Take care, sir. Okay, we're back. We're back. That was an important comment.
Yeah.
Got to cover all the bases and be factual.
That's right.
All right, so let's get back to this this analysis of the debate disaster. Where are we at with this?
Well, we have moved up to something you were itching to get to, which is the immigration and the border security.
To the issue of immigration and border security, President Biden, a record number of migrants have illegally crossed the southern border on your watch. Overwhelming border states and overburdening cities such as New York and Chicago, and in some cases causing real safety and security concerns. Given that, why should voters trust you to solve this crisis?
Because we worked very hard to get a bipartisan agreement that not only changed all of that, it made sure that we are in a situation where you had no circumstance where they could come across the border with the number of border police there are now. We significantly increased the number of asylum officers. By the way, the Border Patrol endorsed my position. In addition to that, we found ourselves in a situation where when he was president, he was separating babies from their mothers, putting them in cages, making sure the families were separated. That's not the right way to go. What I've done since I've changed the law, what's happened? I've changed it in a way that now you're in a situation where there are 40% fewer people coming across the border legally. That's better than when he left office. And I'm going to continue to move until we get the total ban on the total initiative relative to what we're going to do with more Border Patrol and more asylum officers.
President Trump?
I really don't know what he said at the end of that sentence. I don't think he knows what he said either. Look, we had the safest border in the history of our country. The border, all he had to do was leave it. All he had to do was leave it. He decided to open up our border, open up our country to people that are from prisons, people that are from mental institutions, insane asylum, terrorists. We have the largest number of terrorists coming into our country right now, all terrorists, all over the world, not just in South America, all over the world. They come from the Middle East, everywhere. All over the world, they're pouring in. And this guy just left it open. And he didn't need legislation because I didn't have legislation. I said, close the border. We had the safest border in history. In that final couple of months of my presidency, we had, according to Border Patrol, who is great, and by the way, who endorsed me for president, but I won't say that, but they endorsed me for president. Brandon, just speak to him. But look, we had the safest border in history. Now we have the worst border in history. There's never been anything like it. And people are dying all over the place, including the people that are coming up in
Thank you,
caravans.
President Trump. President Biden?
The only terrorist who's done anything crossing the border is one who came along and killed three, under his administration, killed an Al-Qaeda person come in his administration, killed three American soldiers, killed 3 American soldiers. That's the only terrorist that's there. I'm not saying that no terrorist ever got through, but the idea they're emptying their prisons, we're welcoming these people, that's simply not true. There's no data to support what he said. Once again, he's exaggerating, he's lying.
Mr. Kennedy, what would you do about the border?
Well, I would say that on this one, President Trump is more right than President Biden. I think almost everything that President Biden said, I know to be not to be true, including his claim that he was endorsed by the Border Patrol. And the border, there's been at least 7 million people who've come across the border, and they've come across principally, and this is without the gotaways, which are another 2 million. So those are the people who don't go through the gaps in the wall. President Biden, when he became president, ordered a stop on the construction of the wall. That's the problem. There are 27 gaps in the wall, and I stood in Yuma, Arizona between 2 a.m. and 4 a.m. in the morning, and I watched 300 people come across, and I interviewed half of them. The first 110 came from West Africa. They're young men of military age. The second 110 were from Asia, from Azerbaijan, from Nepal, from Tibet, from Bangladesh. Most of them were from China.
I don't know why all the Africans and Chinese and Azerbaijanis would go to Mexico to climb over the wall. That made no sense to me, but hey, what can I say? I don't know. What can I say?
It's a hot button issue. Immigration is, top of mind for a lot of people.
Yeah, RFK did go on and he talked about how Biden, when he became president, he had the cameras taken down off of the walls, which hampered the border security guys. They talked a lot about, border security. Who endorsed who? I may have that in a clip here somewhere, but starting out with 3 terrorists that killed soldiers, and reality is under Trump, there were 3 terrorists apprehended at the southern border and 12,705 criminals apprehended at the border. Biden has had 172 terrorists cross the border and 12,028 criminals. So their numbers are similar. It's just which ones are getting across the border, which are being apprehended. And I can't speak for if Biden's numbers are everyone was stopped at the border or if they're people who came through. I would guess they've both stopped a number of criminals at the border and they both let a number come through. So that would be my guess.
What else do we have lined up here?
But then we have your favorite one, which is the children.
Yes, way.
Okay, let's
not act like children.
President Trump, we're going to turn
Let's not act like children.
to a specific.
You are a child.
Yeah, I just like that clip. So
yeah, that was at the end of the whole thing about you all take your golf challenge, but you have to carry your own bag.
Yep. So one of the things these guys got into in immigration was Biden said, well, when Trump was president, he was putting children in cages and breaking up families. And reality is they both use the same detention facilities. They weren't actually cages. They were small cells. Biden still uses them on the border. Both administrations have utilized similar detention facilities. the policies and circumstances around their uses have differed a little bit. Trump's, had a zero tolerance policy, pushed them back over the border and made a Mexicans problem. And it resulted in family separations and prolonged detentions. Biden has dealt with a high influx of unaccompanied minors, leading to capacity issues in the detention centers, in the cages, as they're calling them. So similar things, but different causes.
Yeah. So where do we move on from here? And do you think that RFK was effective with his performance? It's separating himself. Well, he didn't. I mean, the forced separation and his alternative programming.
Well, so we've got here, I was told early this morning there were 5.5 million viewers on RFK's debate and 1.8 million on the CNN debate. So I had to check our good friend ChatGPT. There were 73 million viewers with CNN as of, well, at this point, 4 hours ago, and 13 million on RFK's. So he reached a significant number of people, but is he really going after anybody but the undecideds out there? And is it going to help him get to the presidency? I have my doubts. Unless they remove Biden and it becomes a Trump RFK competition.
Well, it's a really weird situation. I can't ever think of an election that has been like this, where you're looking at, one of the two main guys possibly being replaced, and the other guy facing all kinds of, well, he could be in jail because they're weaponizing the legal system and government in general. And RFK, it looks like you have a clip referring to that. Is now a good time to run that one, weaponizing government?
Oh yeah, this is actually Trump and RFK getting on the same side of the.
Before, no president in our history has spoken like that before. Number three, the crimes that you are
to the Manhattan DA's office to start that case. That case is going to be appealed and won. We had a very terrible judge, a horrible judge, Democrat. The prosecutor were all high-ranking Democrats, appointed people, and both the civil and the criminal. He basically went after his political opponent because he thought it was going to damage me. But when the public found out about these cases, because they understand it better than he does, he has no idea what these cases are. But when they found out about these cases, you know what they did? My poll numbers went up, way up. You know that because you're reporting it. And we took in more money in the last 2 weeks than we've ever taken in the history of any campaign. I don't think any campaign has ever taken. Hundreds of millions of dollars came pouring in because the public knows it's a scam, and it's a guy that's after his political opponent because he can't win fair and square.
Thank you, President.
Again, the question doesn't really apply to you, but what do you think about the lawsuits against Donald Trump?
Well, here's what I say. President Biden made the point that it's wrong for a federal official to use his federal governmental powers. It's an abuse of power to use that to punish or disadvantage his political opponents. But President Biden is doing that every day. They've denied me Secret Service. President Biden, I'm the first candidate since my father was killed. When my father was killed, Secret Service became available to political candidates prior to the convention. 33 political candidates have been given that prior to the 100-day cutoff, 120-day cutoff, and most of them with polling number a tiny fraction of what I have. President Biden, I am the first candidate since 1968 to request Secret Service protection in which it's been denied, and was right. I'm not a fan of President Trump. I'm running against him. I think he was a bad president. But he's right that it's shocking that 51 CIA agents signed this document saying that the Hunter Biden laptop was a Russian hoax. And they were accusing the Russians of tampering with our election. It was actually the CIA tampering with the election. President Biden is now deployed. He's got $3 billion from big corporations in this country. He's using that corporate money to sue me in virtually every state to keep me off the ballot. That's not democratic. We all,
So, yeah, the complaining again. He's right. They haven't given him Secret Service protection, which, in the United States, they're supposed to. They are, fighting him with lawsuits.
Well, I don't, but to be fair, I don't think that under the rules they're obligated to at this point. If I've read, which is why he doesn't have it. Biden could give it to him if he wanted to, but he doesn't have to because the rules state otherwise. I think he may get it soon or, down the road, but
they've given protection to Trump. Well, he's former president. They have to give it to him.
They have to give it to him.
But they also gave it to other candidates who actually polled much lower than RFK. So, are they trying to burn his money on him to keep him out of the election because maybe he's the biggest competition for them or the one who's most likely to draw votes for him? Hard to say.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. But he's, he tends to be a whiner.
Yeah, well, he wants the protection because he doesn't want to spend the money.
Yeah.
On the protection, right? That's a lot of cash. So
well, and he's been suing the government over
everything.
Everything. Yeah, mostly social media stuff and whatnot for ages at this point. And now they have, put off all of his lawsuits until after the election. So he isn't going to be getting back into social media in the near future either.
Yes. Yeah. So he's got some roadblocks that he's dealing with for sure.
So I think we'll skip the Social Security argument between them. The video on that, but they argued a lot about who is breaking Social Security and who's responsible for Americans not getting Social Security or having their Social Security reduced in 10 years from now. They both blame each other. They both have their wonderful plans to solve it all. Biden is going to if I recall his comments was to tax people more, tax the rich, because they don't pay any taxes. They only pay 1% and everybody else pays 6%. I don't know that that's actually true. They tend to hide their income a little better than the average Joe, but and of course, Trump says that by reducing taxes on everybody and stimulating the economy and business, it'll generate more income. They were collecting more money through the federal, revenue, and that's how they would solve it. And of course, RFK went on and said they're both goofy. They need to quit printing money. They need to quit all the spending. And he actually came out and said they need to quit spending money on the military. They need to reduce military spending, referring to, our favorite subject between you and I, Russia and Ukraine.
Topic of foreign policy. I want to begin with Russia's war against Ukraine, which is now in its third year. Former President Trump, Russian President Vladimir Putin says he'll only end this war if Russia keeps the Ukrainian territory it has already claimed and Ukraine abandons its bid to join NATO. Are Putin's terms acceptable to you?
First of all, our veterans and our soldiers can't stand this guy. They can't stand him. They think he's the worst commander-in-chief, if that's what you call him, that we've ever had. They can't stand him. So let's get that straight. And they like me more than just about any of them. And that's based on every single bit of information. As far as Russia and Ukraine, if we had a real president, the president that knew, that was respected by Putin, he would have never invaded Ukraine. A lot of people are dead right now, much more than people know. You know, they talk about numbers. You can double those numbers, maybe triple those numbers. He did nothing to stop it. In fact, I think he encouraged Russia from going in. I'll tell you what happened. He was so bad with Afghanistan. It was such a horrible embarrassment, most embarrassing moment in the history of our country, that when Putin watched that and he saw the incompetence, that he should have fired those generals, like I fired the one that you mentioned. And so he's got no love lost, but he should have fired those generals. No general got fired for the most embarrassing moment in the history of our country, Afghanistan, where we left billions of dollars of equipment behind. We lost 13 beautiful soldiers, and 38 soldiers were obliterated. And by the way, we left people behind, too. We left American citizens behind. When Putin saw that, he said, you know what? I think we're going to go in and maybe take this was his dream. I talked to him about it, his dream. The difference is he never would have invaded Ukraine, never. Just like Israel would have never been invaded in a million years by Hamas. You know why? Because Iran was broke with me. I wouldn't let anybody do business with them. They ran out of money. They were broke. They had no money for Hamas. They had no money for anything. No money.
I've never heard so much malarkey in my whole life. Look, the fact of the matter is that we're in a situation where, let's take the last point first. Iran attacked American troops, caused brain damage for a number of these troops, and he did nothing about it. Recently, not when he was president. They attacked. He said they're just having headaches. That's all it is. He didn't do a thing when the attack took place, number one. Number two, we got over 100,000 Americans and others out of Afghanistan during that airlift. Number three, we found ourselves in a situation where, if you take a look at what Trump did in Ukraine, this guy told Trump, do whatever you want, and do whatever you want. And that's exactly what Trump did to Putin. To take Kyiv in 5 days, remember? Because it's part of the old Soviet Union. That's what he wanted to reestablish, Kyiv. And he, in fact, didn't do it at all. He wasn't able to get it done. And they've lost thousands and thousands of troops, 500,000 troops.
President Trump,
I
as
never
come back
said
to you
that.
for 1 minute, I just want to go back to my original question, which is, are Putin's terms acceptable to you? Keeping the territory in Ukraine?
Acceptable. No, they're not acceptable. On this war. And we shouldn't be spending, it should have never happened. I will have that war settled between Putin and Zelensky as president-elect before I take office on January 20th. I'll have that war settled. People being killed so needlessly, so stupidly, and I will get it settled, and I'll get it settled fast before I take office.
President Biden, you have a minute.
The fact is that Putin is a war criminal. He's killed thousands and thousands of people. And he has made one thing clear. He wants to reestablish what was part of the Soviet Empire, not just a piece. He wants all of Ukraine. That's what he wants. And then you think he'll stop there? Do you think he'll stop when if he takes Ukraine? What do you think happens to Poland? What do you think of Belarus? What do you think happens to those NATO countries? And so if you want a war, you ought to find out what he's going to do, because if in fact he does what he says and walks away, and by the way, all that money we give.
So, Rick,
what a load of malarkey.
You knew I was going to play the long one on that. The interesting thing for me is, Biden says that Putin's going to invade Belarus.
Yeah, so he's invading basically himself and his friends.
Yeah. So
it's just. Yeah, and Trump said he can do. Trump said to do whatever he wanted to do, so Trump did what he wanted to do. So Trump did it. The scary thing, Kevin, is that as he fumbles his way through this language, I'm beginning to understand the Bidenisms. So I kind of understand what he's getting at, even though he's not making any damn sense.
Yeah. So I agree. You know,
it kind of scares me. You know, I understand I understand, even though he doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Kind of with both of them, actually, but yeah.
That earlier clip in the debate when, Trump said that he didn't understand what he said and he didn't think he did either. I actually understood those last words.
I know. It's just so bad. Oh, yeah, and I am scared now because the world is upside down. I understand the insanity. Oh, anyway. Oh my God. Oh my God.
I know this will be one of your favorites too.
Nazis are good.
And so the fact that, could you ever think you heard any president say that I'm going to seek retribution? Do you ever hear any presidents say that I thought Hitler had some good ideas? What got me involved to run in the first place after my son had died, I decided in Iraq, because of Iraq, I said I wasn't going to run again.
When his son died in Iraq.
Until I saw what happened in Charlottesville, Virginia. People coming out of the woods carrying swastikas on torches, and singing the same anti-Semitic bile they sang when back in Germany. And the young woman got killed. They spoke to the mother, and they asked him. They said, "What do you think of those people? The ones who got killed, the one who tried to stop it, and the ones," he said, "I think they're fine people on both sides." What American president would ever say Nazis coming out of fields carrying torches, singing the same anti-Semitic bile, carrying swastikas were fine people? And this is the guy who says Hitler's done some good things. I'd like to know what they are. The good things.
I didn't know. Do you carry swastikas on a torch? It's just. Hello, Joseph. Welcome back, sir.
Thank you. I came in at a good time. That is so hilarious.
Yeah, it was good entertainment. But I have to say it again. RFK Jr. was the most coherent one of them all, and he had some doozies out there too. So hey, final poll numbers between Trump and Biden after the debate. This is where they're at. Biden went down to 33%, and Trump up to 67%.
Wow.
So this is what's causing all the maybe we need to remove Biden stuff. I still don't think they will remove him as the presidential candidate.
No.
But I know there's a lot of senators and governors and whatnot who do not want to stand next to him. I don't know, Rick. Maybe they will. Maybe this was the whole purpose of sending him out there with notes. But man, 4 months before the election would be death for the Democratic Party.
I don't know if that's entirely true, but what little I've heard with you, Kevin, I've agreed mostly. And I think a lot of people are saying that's why they insisted on having the June debate, so they'd have time to replace them at the August convention. So I can see it going either way. They know they're dead with Joe Biden. They're dead. They're done. Absolutely. A lot of people I agree with, like RFK. I think RFK, I gave Trump a 6 of 10. I gave Biden a 0.1 of 10. He showed up and he proved he was breathing. So he got 1.1 for that. And RFK, I give a 4 of 10, not even being in the debate, because I think now people are seeing the cheap fake stuff is all gaslighting bullshit. And this is Biden. We told you this is him all along. That's why they hide Biden. So I think a lot of people out of TDS won't go for Trump, but they may go over to RFK. So RFK will probably do better than Perot ever did. And ultimately, though, that still helps Trump, in my opinion.
I think RFK helps Biden. I think he takes more votes from Trump than he does from Biden. You disagree?
After the debate, I think a lot more people now are moving out of the Biden camp to the RFK camp. Initially, I think you're right, Rick. But now that they can no longer lie that Dementia Joe has dementia, I wrote down, right? What are you going to believe? Your own eyes, as the saying goes, or the leftist endless lies, right? Gavin Gruesome and Obama grew scum, grew scum, and Obama parroted him, and I use the word parrot on purpose because I'm going to use it again later, but they both said, well, you don't judge on one debate. What about the other 1,000? What about the other 1,000 times where he stumbles upstairs, fell off his bike? Did he have a cold all those times too? They're trying the Nixon had the flu excuse. It's not gonna fly.
They're gonna give him a bucket of ice cream and he'll be a happy boy.
But yeah, could they replace him at convention? Yes, it's still possible.
Yeah.
But I agree with others. I don't like repeating others' talking points, but indeed, they're saying, and I agree with, Biden has as much hubris as Trump does. Again, I'm not a Trump cultist. I don't have TDS, but I don't have BDS either. But they both are, their hubris level is off the chart. Biden will not go quietly. They will have to drag him kicking and screaming.
Well, we watched it on CNN, and CBS carried it, and I don't know what BDS is, but everybody's wondering if Biden suffers from IBS, which would be irritable bowel syndrome, and so I'm just curious: is he pooping his pants?
I think he has a few times anyway, but I don't know that he did last night. I'm not.
I mean, I'm serious. This is the allegation, right? This is or is this just an Alex Jones creation? A fake news or propaganda story to hurt him, or does he really poop his pants?
The parachute, Kevin, weigh in, right? He's there with the European leaders, and he squats over. What's happening there? If he's not if he's not pooping, it depends, right?
I just want to. Are we actually talking about this? Are we actually talking about this? Is this what it has come to? While we're on the brink of World War III?
Yeah.
Does the president of the United States poop his pants?
Well, okay. But again, just to be funny here, is the choice: the guy who shits his pants, or the people with TDS and BDS's Biden derangement syndrome. TDS would say Trump has shit for brains. So either the guy shit for brains or the shit in his pants guy. I don't know. Or RFK Jr.
Kevin, please weigh in.
I love you, Joseph.
I have a way with words at times.
Yeah. You do.
You know, if they replace him, as long as they pick a decent candidate, no Kamala Harris, no Michelle Obama, no Hillary Clinton, go with Nikki Haley or, I don't know.
I don't think she would do it, but yeah, no. It's either Gavin Gruescum or Wretched Whitler of Michigan.
Yeah. I'll be honest, I'd like to see Tulsi Gabbard, but
no, she left the party. She won't go back.
Yeah. Yeah. Who else would there? I don't think any of those names are
I don't know.
winners.
You know, Tulsi lost the party, but Biden won the party, and look what they got now.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mentioned Parrot. Remember, Gruscom and Obama and the talking heads trying that line. Don't judge on one debate. Well, there's 1,000 incidents of Biden bumble brain out there. You can't say he had a cold and I'm Benadryl for all of those. But in my opinion, of the two in that debate, again, RFK, I think, got 4 of 10 just by not even being there. But Trump won, and Trump, a parrot, could have filled in for Donald Trump and just said, Polly want a cracker, Polly want a cracker, all night long, and won the debate for Trump. And the spin room, let me put on a Trump hat here. I like to try to not do this, but if I were to put on a Trump cap hat, the spin room afterward would say, the Trump parrot is right. Polly want a cracker. That's a metaphor, an analogy for we all want food. Our family is starving because of Bidenomics. We can't afford food. So yeah, Polly want a cracker, can't have it because the family ain't eating.
And remember, folks, you are only going to get this kind of analysis with this kind of color commentary right here on the Maverick News Channel.
That's right. I haven't said that anywhere else. How's that for spin, though, huh? That's pretty brilliant, if I do say so myself.
Let's call John and find out if he thinks that if Joe Biden will poop his pants or has been.
This will decide the election.
Don't hang up. Are you there?
Hello, how are you?
John, we have an important question.
Yes.
Does Joe Biden, or did Joe Biden...
I'll be right back.
Are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
What's your opinion on the president pooping his pants issue?
I think it's happened a number of times, unfortunately. I hope he's got his extra absorbent Depends on.
Total agreement.
Is that a loaded question?
Oh, it's a loaded Depends.
These are serious questions, and they're not loaded questions. Okay, so are there special presidential poopy pants for the president, or does he just buy the generic brand?
The best deal going in town is Kirkland's from Costco.
Yeah, well, you can buy in bulk there.
Yeah,
and load up.
You know, like you like to say, you arrive in diapers in the world, and God willing, if you live long enough, you end up in diapers again, eh?
Well, that's the way she works. Just ask Elon Musk. He talks a lot about that with the aging population that's out there, and he measures demographics based on diaper sales, and so I think he's been talking to Joe Biden. And did you notice the facial expressions that Biden was making throughout the debate? I mean, is there any other proof needed?
I think there's lots of video that Mr. Biden has had some issues before with what you're talking about, which is a kind of an interesting subject.
It certainly is, isn't it? These are important questions. I mean, say, Russia launches nukes, and then China launches nukes, and you got nuclear submarines off the coast and stuff, and he has to make an important decision, right? And the guy with the nuclear football is there. Like, if he has to take a poopy break, we could be in real trouble.
Well, here's the thing, Rick. And it's not nice to talk about, but you've entered the subject, is when you reach a certain age, which our current president, Mr. Biden's at, you always have to be extra careful. Make sure you've got the extra absorbent Depends on, because at his age, when you let one go, you never know if it's going to be a dry one or a wet one with a nuclear disaster. That's why you have to wear stuff like that, right?
Well, did you notice that during the debate they kept saying, "That's number one," and they kept saying, "That's number two." Did you notice over and over again? They actually were both saying that. I was like, why do they keep saying number one and number two? That's number one, and then they come back and you go, and that's number two.
It was like it was the Gutfeld show.
Backstage with Biden was the funeral hearse with his undertaker there. They looked like they were sizing him up for a coffin. Did you see the black hearse behind the curtains there when Sleepy Joe walked off there? Talk about having an undertaker on call. I mean, when you're the president of the United States,
when Alex Jones started talking about the poopy pants, I was like, I am not talking about that on this program. I am not talking about the poopy pants and the president. But here we are. This is what it's come to. Kevin wants to say something. You can't hear Kevin. I'll cue you back up, John, when the time comes. But go ahead, Kevin. What did you have to say?
Well, all I was going to say is, you think about it, the guy with the most absorbent diapers should be carrying the nuclear football.
I guess so, right? Because he doesn't have to stop. He can just keep right on going without a break. Just, he just works right through it, right? Yeah. That's dedication. That's a good work ethic.
At that point, we're all going to be crapping our pants.
Age, you certainly don't make off color comments about let it rip. Let it rip, baby.
Oh my goodness! Oh
yeah, no, it was
How did we end up on this subject?
How did we end up here at all? Like, is this even real? Are we in the Matrix right now?
You took the word out of my mouth, Rick. I think you're.
What's going to happen?
Hang on a second, John. Go ahead, Joseph. What did you want to say?
Yeah, you took the word matrix right out of my mouth. And also, I think you're channeling your inner Gutfeld tonight. He always does the poop jokes.
Oh, does he? Oh, okay. Yeah. I haven't watched him in a long time.
Oh, my. Love his show. Love his show. It's a great show. Next to Maverick News, it's the best show.
Kevin, help. Is this real?
No. It's a Russian mind game.
Okay.
These are not the candidates, right? These are not the candidates you are looking for.
Gotta blame Russia. It's our fault.
Oh, John. What are we going to do? What do you think?
I can tell you, Rick, I took care of two of my parents that are in heaven now, and a grandmother, and I can tell you, I own the rodeo t-shirt. I can tell you from personal experience, those extra absorbent Depends diapers, they literally will contain a nuclear disaster.
Okay.
I'm seriously. If you let a wet one rip and you thought it was a dry one, they will contain a nuclear disaster. Absolutely, they are worth the money. They're worth the money.
So now we know why.
It's called insurance.
Now we know why Reagan's SDI failed. It didn't put Depends in space instead of nuclear satellites.
Wow, well, that was SDI. I don't know what that stands for exactly, but
now it stands for Shit Defense Initiative. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I hope those Depends are leak proof, because we need to contain the radioactive waste.
They are, and I mean, Sleepy Joe, and let's give him his due. It's Sleepy Joe, basement, Bolshevik, bunker, Biden with the ice cream cone. Well, I think he's going to have to put a funeral coach hearse in the procession now. He's got the ambulance. That's the only thing he's missing in the big procession now, is a black hearse coach.
Oh my God! I don't wish that on him, but this certainly does give new meaning to the term bunker buster, doesn't it?
But Let me give Biden credit for something he said just today. Biden
they're
said,
not going to be saying, let her rip, Joe. Let her
It's
rip,
okay.
Sleepy.
John, I'm gonna sign off. I can't keep talking about this with you. I can't.
Yeah.
It's just wow.
But let me give
this is
Biden
a
credit.
this debate was a real stinker, wasn't it?
Well, it stinks in more ways than you realize. Stay tuned, Maverick News family worldwide. More to come. More to come.
I'm sure of that. It's like I'm sure it's like it's just never ending, isn't it? It's just never ending. There's more to come.
So at the debate, there was shit coming out of both ends of Biden, out his mouth and out his anal tube hole.
John, quick, is there a final thought you want to wrap up with tonight before I go
Joseph,
on?
that was a crappy statement to make.
Just, again, we knew it was going to probably be a disaster last night, the debate.
What a mess that was.
Yes, it was a number one and a number two. It was a nuclear disaster mess. Absolutely.
It was terrible.
That was a real pisser.
I mean, they just about wheeled out the life support machine for Sleepy Joe.
Well, I just want to make sure you can slide one more in there before we sign off.
I think I'm out of ammunition.
No. Oh my God. No more ROMs.
Yeah, the Gutfeld show has got nothing on this show. Gutfeld's got nothing on this show tonight, that's for sure.
Beautiful. When you get to be a certain age, Rick, if there's a great big present under the Christmas tree, it might be an extra absorbent large box of men's Depends underwear. You never know what you get when you say, it ain't a box of chocolates when you rip off that wrapping paper, baby.
Well, and the good thing is, Biden is never short on any supply for the colon guard kit.
Oh my God! Oh, what's happened here? We've just. This is Alex Jones's fault. I'm telling you.
We just went in the crapper, Rick.
Rip roaring show tonight with Kevin Michelacci and our Chicago guy. I hope it's ripping and roaring, Rick.
Oh my God. Okay, John, thank you. I appreciate, as always, your contributions this evening.
Well, and don't forget, check your panties. Check your panties.
Well, you peed your panties the other night when we were talking about the Oilers. You got so excited you peed your pants.
Yeah, you betcha. Absolutely.
And proud of it.
Absolutely. A proud Edmontonian from Alberta. When in Rome,
pee your pants. When in Rome, just pee your pants. Or in Edmonton. Anyway, thank you, John. Signing off, sir.
Cheers. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Well, now you see, that's real journalism.
I didn't know we decided to do a comedy show. Well, it was a debate, right?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
But Biden, speaking of the shit coming out of Biden's mouth, did you hear him today say, I know how to tell the truth? But what you didn't hear him mumble after that was, I just choose to never, ever tell it.
Oh man. Kevin, what do we do? Where do we go from here?
Yeah. Well, I did not hear entirely all that you and Kevin covered or before that. But I mean, the lies, the Bleach lie was repeated. The Charlottesville lie was repeated. Lie after lie after lie was repeated by Biden. It's at this point he had the 51 intelligence agency people who said Hunter Biden laptop was a Russian hoax after the FBI 6 months earlier said it was legit. All need to have their security clearances revoked. But still, to this day, Hunter Biden laptop was entered into evidence in the gun trial, but they're still on social media calling the Hunter Biden laptop an Alex Jones conspiracy and Russian disinfo.
Well, they said that about the diapers too, but we've debunked that. Is there anything really left to say at this point?
Those depends.
Oh.
But back to, I want to, so we don't forget, I want to talk about the Gulf exchange.
Oh, don't worry. I'll never, ever forget this.
Yeah.
What we're doing here right now, I'll never forget this.
Yeah, but the Gulf exchange. When
before we let you talk about that, can you carry your own bag?
I got your bag right here.
Oh, okay. All right, that's enough. That's okay. We're almost crossing the line now. Thank you, sir.
No, but seriously about the Gulf thing. Here's where I think RFK gains on both Trump and Biden, because Trump also, by affording Biden that exchange, shows Trump loses a little of his everyday man, I'm for the people cred, comes across as aloof and elitist. They both do because of that exchange. If I were Trump, he blew the chance. He should have said, people who own VW Gulf, GULF, don't want to hear us talking about GOLF because they can't afford to put gas in that GULF to go to the store and afford the groceries because of your Bidenomics. So
well, I think RFK has been getting, all I know is RFK Jr. has been getting off real easy in this conversation, but we all know that when it comes right down to it, he's really just pulling up the rear.
You wouldn't let it drop, huh? I think there's a turd sticking out there because you wouldn't let it drop. A turtle head, right?
Oh, they're all just a bunch of dingleberries, aren't they?
Oh my God. Oh. I did do the bag joke on Savage Unfiltered today. We recorded, that'll air tomorrow. We discussed the debate there too. And by the way, Rick, Michael Gardner is trying to reach out to you, but I'm betting like me, he's using his new SavageUnfiltered.com.
Who's Michael Gardner?
Of Savaged Unfiltered.
Oh, okay.
And he's trying to reach out to you, but I bet his emails are going into spam because he's using the SavageUnfiltered.com email, and I'm having trouble getting them too. So
okay. Oh yeah, Merrick says, leave Turdo out of this.
I've heard about enough, right? Yeah. Right, good one. I've heard enough of you, clown.
Justin Trudeau.
Good one, Merrick.
That was a good one, yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
how could we possibly? Oh, I'm so glad we didn't forget about old Justin Trudeau.
But I think the line of the night, the Reagan, I will not use age to exploit the youth and inexperience of my opponent for political purposes. That was the line of that debate. I think the line of this one was Trump, kind of the Reagan line. I don't know what he just said. I don't think he knows what he just said, right? Kevin, I think that was the best zinger of the night.
It was a good zinger, but if you listen to it about 5 times, you actually make out what he said.
Yeah. Well, the death of Medicare, we killed Medicare. Yeah, you did with Obamacare. You took 800 million out of Medicare to fund Obamacare. So yeah, you did kill Medicare.
You
The death
know,
of Medicare.
before Obama got Obamacare put in place, I had 100% paid medical insurance that covered 100% of everything. And when I left the United States in 2020, I was paying almost $600 every 2 weeks. And I was only being covered at 70 to 80%.
Yeah.
So, hey, I had to become a commie.
Hey, it was called the Affordable Care Act, and we all know you're rich, Kevin. You can afford it.
I've got the Affordable Care Act over here. I can go to the good old state medicine and be misdiagnosed by 6 different doctors.
Yep.
Well, guys, I think we've
they looked at, what the first thing they look at when I go to the doctor here? My backside.
We come full circle again, right? But yeah, another thing, because I'm voting for Trump, I make it clear, but I'm not a Trump cultist. Trump has got a good thing, and it was a ploy for Nevada. No tax on tips. I don't fully agree with that. I think the first 50,000 in tips should be exempt, but above that, if you work at like Gavin Grewscum again, the French Laundry, and you make 150 grand in tips a year off the elites, you should be paying tax on some of that. So I would cap it. Your first 50,000, I agree, tips tax free. But I disagree with Trump on that to some degree.
Well, like I said earlier, I'm not voting for any of them because I'm not paying to fly to Poland.
Well, at this point, I think we've pretty much exhausted this topic. I just don't know what else to say. Joseph, first to you for final thoughts, and then I'm going to let Kevin wrap it up.
Well, the other things I had on here as notes is 8084, back to Reagan. I think now there was a Reagan cult. We didn't think in that terms. The Reagan Democrats were celebrity cultists, just like Trump has some celebrity cultists. But unlike 80 and 84, Reagan never got down ballot help. He only had control of the Senate 2 of his 8 years, never the House. So if Trump is to get anything done legislatively, the right way to do it, we must get 20 plus majority of the House, and we're never going to get filibuster proof in the Senate. So the left is still going to block most of it. But I am fair. I call out illegal executive orders no matter who does it. So it needs to be done properly legislatively. And the only way that happens is if there's down ballot coattails. And I think that that debate may have helped that. But the other thing is Donna Brazil, remember, leaked the questions to Hillary. If anybody thinks they didn't leak these questions to Biden ahead of time, I got a bridge to sell you. And then the other thing is Dennis Prager often says, truth is not a left value. And I always say, fascocrats only have one value or principle: power. Anything, say anything, do anything to get it and keep it. That's their only value. That's once you understand that, you understand how they're always lying, cheating, stealing, twisting language, double standards regarding anything, because the only value that matters is power. Period.
Joseph, are you saying that all politicians lie?
Does Trump tell some whoppers? Absolutely. All politicians lie. Except for me when I ran for office. I didn't do that, but I ran in deep blue Wayne County as a Republican. I certainly didn't expect to win. So I ran calling out my own party as much as I was calling out the Democrats when I ran, calling out CINOs, rhinos, and fascocrats. Yeah, I am against the deep state, whether they have an R or a D by their name.
Whether they're selling chocolate or not.
Well, so wrap this up for us, Kevin.
So Biden was serving soft serve chocolate.
I have no wrap up for this, Rick. I really don't. You know, when you're making up your mind, let's be realistic. 50% of the people, 46% actually vote, and half of they've most of them have made up their own mind already anyway. So the undecided people go out and actually research what they say to you, because the information's out there. Rick has turned me on to the most wonderful tool for doing research on stuff like this. Chat GPT version 4. You would be surprised. So go out, do some research. Do not listen to them. And when you get tired of it, I'll help you immigrate.
Well, all I can say is all this time we thought politicians were full of hot air. But now we know that it isn't the cows burping. It's not the cows burping that are the fault of that's causing all the climate change. No, that's just projection. Now we know that indeed it's actually the politicians themselves that are responsible for the methane releases that are causing this catastrophic existential threat to humanity. And indeed, one in particular. Yes, sir. So with that being said, folks, thanks everybody for putting up with us tonight. I'm really, really, really sorry. I apologize for this broadcast. And
let me do a Joe Biden imitation again. Where's the camera? What?
And unfortunately, I will be back tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Love you guys. Catch you on the flip side.
This has been a Maverick Multimedia production.